Hi, everybody. This is Joe from PrepAgent. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. How's everybody doing today? Okay. Let's get started. Today we're talking about contracts. And every time we do a session on contracts, we always start with the same question. Those of you guys who know, who've been doing this for a while know what question I'm going to ask. We cannot talk about contracts without talking about the 4 essentials of a valid contract. So let's start off this session today by writing the 4 essentials of a valid contract. Can't say one more word about contracts without writing the 4 essentials of a valid contract. Let's see, who's first? Who's going to write it first? Big thumbs up to whoever gets it first. Looks like Aviva is right out of the gates. Capable parties, lawful object, consideration, offer, and acceptance. Okay, Aviva got it. Okay, writing is not one of the essentials. Okay, and remember, a code is for agency. That's not for contracts. A code is for agencies. A code is accountability, confidentiality, obedience, loyalty, and disclosure. And that has to do with the essentials of agency. Okay, so everybody should write it. Mutual consent, capable of parties, consideration, and lawful object. Nice job, Luanda, condensing it to one word. Okay, so other ways you could do it in one word is mutual, capable, consideration, or lawful. Or you could say agreement, competence, consideration, legal. All of it means the same thing. All right, you guys got that? So everybody write that in one word. John asked me, can you explain agency and individual contractor? Oh, those are very different things as far as I know. Agency just has to do with a relationship between you and somebody who hires you, that fiduciary duty. Individual contractor has to do with a way of getting paid and a way of functioning legally and tax-wise with your brokerage. Those are very different things. Okay. Who could tell me when you guys have offer and acceptance? What do you guys think? When is agreement? What has to happen? What do you guys think? What has to happen? When do you have mutual consent? All right, Tosha, offer made and accepted. Okay, meeting of the minds and offer and acceptance are the same thing. Oh, you guys are missing an important part here. Remember, it's a 3-step process. Offer, acceptance, and communicate back that acceptance to the buyer. Everybody write that down. Offer, accept, and communicate acceptance. Offer, accept, and communicate acceptance. Offer, accept, and communicate acceptance. Okay, we're all writing that down. Offer, accept, and communicate acceptance. Okay, and I say it like this. If I make you an offer, and you look at an offer like, wow, this is great, I accept it. Okay, but I don't know you accepted it. I'm going to continue to make other offers on other properties. All right, guys? Okay, let's move on to the question we have on the board. When a counteroffer is made, A, the offeree becomes the offeror. B, the original offer cannot amend his terms. C, the consideration of partial acceptance, the offer. The original offer becomes a unilateral offer. Okay, what do you guys think? Okay, the answer is A. Okay, the offeree becomes the offeror. Good. The offeree becomes the offeror. Okay, a student broker took an open listing. He then made an oral agreement with another broker to share the commission on the property. The second broker procured an offer resulting in the sale of the property. The first broker refused to share his commission on the sale. A, he need not share the commission as it was open listing. B, he need not share the commission due to the statute of frauds. C, the second broker could sue the seller for his share of the commission. D, the second broker would stand a good chance of winning a court suit for his share of the commission. What do you guys think? And the answer is D. My question to you is, why did you guys circle D? What did you see there that made you go with D? What did you guys see? If your screen is blurry, make sure you have it set to 720 HD. Go to your settings and make sure it's set appropriately. Thanks, Carmen. Okay, procure the purchaser. Good. Okay, is an open listing unilateral or bilateral? Is an open listing unilateral or bilateral? Okay, unilateral. Why is it unilateral? Who knows? Why is it unilateral? Why is it unilateral? Okay, anybody could be the procuring cause of sale. Okay, Laura wrote, seller agrees to pay the commission one promise. Okay, because the broker does not have to go look for a buyer. It is not bilateral. Does that make sense? Because the seller has the option to work with many brokers, there's no one broker that's obligated to do anything. You have the right to say, well, because you're working with many different brokers, you're working with like 100 brokers, for example, I don't need to do anything. I'm not obligated to go search for a buyer because you're working with 99 others. Does that make sense? Whereas with an exclusive listing, the seller's saying, I got you and you alone, and I'm committed to you. Therefore, you have to go look for a buyer. And if you don't, all right, you're in violation of the agreement. So exclusive listing would be bilateral. When it's open listing, it's unilateral because that broker is not required to go look for a buyer. Okay. Which of the following is an acceptable termination date for an enforceable exclusive listing on residential real property? A, 3 days after notice of rescission of the seller. B, 9 days from the completion of construction. C, 90 days after a listing agreement is signed. Or D, whenever the loan is funded. And the answer is C, 90 days after the listing agreement is signed. Good. Why is that the answer? Why is the answer C? What do you guys think? Why is that one an acceptable termination date? "90 days after listed agreement is signed." It's not because it's a reasonable set time. Aviva got it because you need a specific date. Okay. And the other three options are ambiguous. Okay. Rescission of the seller, you don't know when that's going to happen. Completion of construction, you don't know when that's going to happen. The loan is funded, you don't know when that's going to happen. Okay. 90 days after sign, you know when it's signed, and you say 90 days after we do this, this thing's done. Okay. And Chris Montes said, I thought they were negotiable. It is negotiable. You don't have to do 90 days after the listing agreement was signed. Okay. But you do need a definite termination date with an exclusive listing. Okay. Moving right along. You can negotiate the amount of days. Okay, which of the following is created when possession and title do not occur at the same time? A, a writ of execution. B, an interim occupancy agreement. C, a state of sufferance. Or D, a subordination clause. And the answer is B, interim occupancy agreement. Excuse me. Where's everybody from today? Write your state. I'm curious. Everybody write your state, where you're from. Texas, California, Maryland. Maryland crab cakes, delicious. Oklahoma, where the sky is blue. Oklahoma, okay. Lots of Californians. Okay, here we go. An option A results in the commission to the broker if the optionee does not exercise the option. B gives the buyer a lien on the property. C requires the optionee to complete the purchase. D keeps an offer open for a specified period of time. I'll keep that in mind, Pearl. Okay, and the answer is D. Okay, so an option is just when you pay somebody to give you the option to do something or not do something. By definition, you're keeping it open. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense for everybody. You're saying, don't sell this property to anybody else. I'll give you some money. Does that mean I'm going to buy it? No. But it means I have the option to wait to buy it. Okay? You hear this thing called a lease option sometimes. It means you pay extra money, so the end term of your lease, you have the option to buy it. And nobody else could buy it during that term. And obviously you pay extra for that right, either in the form of extra rent or money up front, whatever it may be. The safety clause is found in A, loan broker statement, B, deposit receipt, C, lease, D, listing agreement. Who could tell me what a safety clause is? Who could tell me what a safety clause is? Anybody? A safety clause. What is that? Okay, it's also known as a protection period clause. That's right. Okay, so basically what it does, it ensures that you get paid, okay, if one of your buyers that you found during the term of the listing closes a deal after the listing expires. Okay, remember, it is not a time to find a new buyer. All right, it has nothing to do with stubbing your toe during the listing or protecting if somebody gets sued or things like that. And much like most things, that can be negotiated. It's not necessarily 18 days. It could be whatever's agreed upon. If a person obtains a contract through duress, that contract is A, valid, B, unenforceable, C, void, or D, voidable. And for Sophie, I'll repeat what I said before. A protection period clause, or also known as a safety clause, is a time to close deals with buyers you found during the term of the listing. It is not a time to find a new buyer. Okay. So if a person obtains a contract through duress, that contract is valid, unenforceable, void, or voidable. And the answer would be voidable. So what's duress? That means you're being threatened or put in a stressful situation when you don't want to be. Okay, who can give me another example of a voidable contract? Give me another example of when a contract is voidable. Who could give me a different example other than duress? Okay, Miners one, good. Chris Montez wrote blue house. I assume you're talking about the color house, not what you signed up for. All right, fraud, good, Laura. That would make it voidable as well. Excellent. Okay. Here's a big question for you guys. You guys ready? Let's see if you guys can handle this. Write ready if you're ready for a tougher question. Okay, write ready. Okay, what is the difference between negative fraud and constructive fraud? Who knows the difference between negative fraud and constructive fraud? Dun-dun-dun-dun. This question should be worth double. What is the difference between negative fraud and constructive fraud? Nice job, Laura. Negative fraud is lying through omission, and constructive fraud is a big oops, is a goof. Okay? Actual fraud is verbally lying. So remember, negative fraud, there's intention there, but you're just not saying anything. Okay? Constructive fraud is that one that's unintentional. It's a big oops. Stuff happens. Negative fraud is when you know there's a leaky roof. When you walk into the house, you tell them, oh, look at the tiles, look out the window. Have I showed you the yard? Okay, so you're not saying the roof is fine, but you're kind of purposely avoiding it. Has everybody got that one? Looks like I tripped some people up with that question. That was a tougher one. All the following are essentials of each and every contract except A, lawful object, B, proper writing, C, capable parties, or D, mutual consent. What do you guys think? And elsewhere, I can say it again. Negative fraud is lying through omission. Constructive fraud is an accident. You just made an honest mistake. And actual fraud is straight up lying to somebody's face. Okay, all of the following are essentials of each and every contract except A, lawful object, B, proper writing, C, capable of parties, or D, mutual consent. What do you guys think? Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if I'm back. Okay, good. Sorry about that, guys. All right, moving right along. Okay, to assign a contract for the sale of real estate means to A, transfers one's right under the contract, B, permit the broker to act as an agent for the principal, C, record the contract with the county recorder's office, or D, allow the seller and the buyer to exchange positions. Okay, and the answer is A. That's correct, Anush. Assigning also means transferring. Good. Albert is a tenant and agrees to perform certain repairs for Bob, who is the owner. Despite repeated promises, Albert fails to perform the repairs. Bob then writes up a contract and compels Albert to sign it by threatening to evict him if he does not. Such a contract would be A, enforceable, B, void, C, illegal, or D, voidable. And the answer is D, voidable. This question should have read to you, blah, 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 who cares, threatening, blah, 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 blah. Okay, threatening, voidable, done. The rest of the question could have been about dogs, ponies, and unicorns. All right, once you saw the word threatening, you knew the answer was voidable, and you passed your exam. What did the rest of the question say? It said, why are you reading it? Who cares? Just circle voidable. That's what it says. Okay, gotta know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, gotta know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Those key words to look for. Okay, you got to know those key words, right, guys? Thank you, Laura. Okay. Avoidable contract is one which A is binding on neither party and not subject to ratification. B has no enforce or effect. C is subject to disciplinary action. D is valid now, but can be voided by an interested party for due cause. And the answer is D. Good. That's correct, Alicia. I appreciate you guys who've been with me for a while. Know that when my connection goes, I come back as soon as I can. Oh, it's true. Capital letters. That means shouting. I forgot about that. Totally true. Do you ever have your text a message to accidentally have caps and everybody's like, relax, why are you yelling? So rude. When really you just forgot to take it off caps lock. I totally feel like I'm being attacked if somebody writes me in capital letters. Okay, here we go. In accordance to the statute of frauds, which of the following must be in writing? A single family resident offered for sale by owner. B, a lease on fruit or nut-bearing tree for the time the fruit is in season so it can be picked. C, a listing contract. Or D, a lease for a period of longer than 1 year. Okay, the answer is D, a lease for a period of longer than 1 year. Anush wrote, less than 1 year doesn't have to be in writing. Am I right? Sometimes you're right. There are contracts that are under 1 year that do not have to be in writing. Okay, so that means all contracts do not need to be in writing, which is why it's not one of the 4 essentials of a valid contract. You could argue that 99.9% needs to be in writing, and you could argue that all should be in writing, but it doesn't mean it's one of the 4 essentials. It's not one of the 4 essentials of that valid contract. When we say 4 essentials, we mean something that if it's not there, it is not that thing. So it's not there, it's not a contract. Remember, I often say, do not confuse good business practice with law. Good business practice says, of course, you should have everything writing, but you could still have oral contracts, right, legally. But good business practice said it'd be really stupid to do everything by oral agreement. The buyer of a home was not informed that the house was on a septic tank system. The buyer has the right to A, sue the title company for failure to discover the problem. B, remain silent. C, rescind the contract. D, sue the broker for his license. Okay, the answer is C, rescind the contract. Okay, moving right along. In which of the following contracts does one of the parties agree not to revoke an offer for a certain period of time? A, ratification. B, estate for years. C, a listing contract. Or D, an option. And the answer is D, an option. We went over that before. We talked about is option unilateral or bilateral? When we spoke about it before, we discussed, is an option unilateral or bilateral? Okay, we said it was unilateral. Good. Any advance fee contract used in connection with a real estate or business opportunity listing must include all the following except A, the total amount of the advance fee to be charged, B, a guarantee that the sale, lease, or exchange will be completed, C, a detailed description of the services to be performed, or D, the date the fee is to be paid. And the answer is B. Even if you don't know what an advance fee contract is, the dead giveaway here should have been a guarantee of the sale. The moment you saw a guarantee of the sale in the answer, you should have known something was wrong there, regardless of what type of listing, what kind of fee it is, what kind of contract, anything. Why is that a big red flag? The moment you saw guarantee the sale, why is that a huge red flag that should have alerted you? What do you guys think? Chris nailed it, because no matter what type of listing it is or what type of contract it is or what kind of fee you're getting, you can't guarantee the sale. Why can't you guarantee the sale of the house? Why can't you as the broker guarantee the sale of the house? Nice job, Laura. Because it's not your house. All right, it's not your house. That's why. Okay. All right, exactly. Because you don't own it. All right, you don't own it. Okay, you're guaranteeing that you're going to bring a buyer. If you don't do it, you don't get paid. All right, does everybody make sense that? You're guaranteeing that I will find you a buyer. If I don't find you a buyer, well, then you don't have to pay me. That's why it's a bilateral contract. But you are not guaranteeing the sale of the house. Okay, so if you find a buyer, technically and legally speaking, it's a qualified buyer under all the terms of the contract, and the seller says no, you can make an argument that you deserve your commission because you did what you said you would do. You said, hey, I'm going to sign a contract. And this contract says I guarantee to hold open houses, to market the property, to do my due diligence and find a buyer. Okay? If I don't do that, you don't have to pay me. That does not apply to the sale of the house. All right? So there are scenarios. Think about it this way. If a seller says, I want to sell my house. All right, find me a buyer that'll offer more than 100 grand. And then you hold open houses every weekend, put your money, invest your time into newspaper ads, internet ads, networking functions. You spend 2 months doing the best job you can. And then you find somebody comes and wants to offer $200,000, totally qualified, ready to pay all cash. And the seller turns around, he goes, nah, I don't feel like it anymore. I'm over it. This new neighbor moved in, great guy. I kind of want to hang out with him. I'm not selling anymore. Are you owed a commission in that scenario? In that scenario I just mentioned, are you owed a commission? Yes, you are. Now, it could be difficult suing the seller, and a lot of brokers will tell you it just makes sense to move on. That's part of the business. You just got to suck it up. But technically, you did your job. All right, you did what you were hired to do. So you could go after the commission because you fulfilled. Remember, it's a bilateral contract. You fulfilled that part. Say, I will bring a buyer and you will pay me. Okay, so if you worked really hard and did everything you said you do, technically, you're owed a commission. Now, it's not really good business practice to go around suing your clients, suing the sellers. That's why most brokers will tell you just to move on. Because the amount of time it'll take you to sue the broker and get that commission, you would have probably paid more in legal fees. So they tell you to move on. But technically speaking, You fulfilled your part of that bilateral contract. And what they're really trying to avoid is sellers who want to find the value of their home trying to get you to list their home when really they have no intention at all of selling. That's what really that law is trying to avoid. People are saying, I wonder what my value is. I could get an appraiser. I'll just have Jane down the street, who's an agent, list my house. We'll hold some open houses for a few weeks. But deep down, I know I have absolutely no intention of selling. But, I'll just get Jane to do all this for me, and I'll tell her I'm going to sell. But even though really I have no intention of doing it. Does that make sense, guys? You don't want people in the community doing that. So when you sign a listing with them, you're saying, hey, if you're not sure you want to sell, don't have me do all this work. Don't have me hold open houses. Because if I find this buyer, you owe me. All right? So it makes more sense when I say it like that. And that's why people are like, oh, yeah, okay, you do owe the agent a commission. Because if you didn't owe the commission, you'd have people do that all the time. All right, does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Okay. A listing agreement is essentially an A, employment contract, B, option to sell, C, a unilateral contract, or D, a purchase contract. And the answer is A. And we just discussed this. What are you being employed to do? After my little rant just there, I really hope everybody gets this right. What are you being employed to do? Find a buyer. If anybody wrote sell the house, I would bang my head against the computer. Okay, good. Find a buyer. You're being hired to find a buyer, not sell the house. What listing requires an owner to pay a commission even though she sells the property herself? A, an exclusive agency listing, B, exclusive right to sell listing, C, a net listing, or D, an open listing? Okay, the answer is B. Good. They got to pay the commission no matter what. What type of listing would it be if they did not have to pay the commission if she sells it herself? What type of listing would it be if she did not have to pay the commission if she sells it herself? Okay, that would be the exclusive agency. Good job, everybody. Let's do one more. And the exclusive agencies where they don't have to pay if they find it themselves, not if another agent finds it, if they find it themselves. Okay, the prospective purchaser may withdraw the offer at any time before the seller's acceptance of the offer. A, provided the offeree has breached the offer. B, provided the offer is not supported deposit. C, for any reason. Or D, unless the offer states that it is irrevocable. We actually started today's webinar talking about this. Okay, the answer is C, and why? What did we say when we started today's webinar about mutual consent, offered acceptance? What did we say about it? We said there's a 3-step process. Do you remember when we said there's a 3-step process? What was that 3-step process? What did we say? We said offer, acceptance, and communicate back that acceptance. You guys remember that when we started today? Offer, acceptance, and communicate back that acceptance. All right, in this scenario, they haven't even accepted it yet. So you could withdraw the offer because the sky's not blue enough at that point, right? You just had a change of heart. You stubbed your toe, you're in a bad mood, you could withdraw the offer because they haven't accepted it yet. Does that make sense, guys? Yes or no? Okay, good. All right, well, that's all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow. I enjoy doing this, so I hope you guys enjoy attending. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time, okay? And while I have you guys on the line, all right, oh, Chris said, can we have an open forum webinar? Send them on the Facebook page, and I'll pick some from that group. We could have an open forum webinar. I just don't want you guys asking me questions that I have no idea the answer to, and I'm sitting here searching, or you're asking questions that maybe are not relevant to what everybody's doing, or maybe they're not the best questions, or maybe I just don't know the information. So I'd like to be prepared, and so I can articulate things and explain things in the best possible way. So that's why I'm a little nervous about the open forum format, but we could try it. I'll definitely try it. I just like to be prepared so I can really explain things well. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I do try and take time and prepare good explanations, and so I can create a lot of clarity for you guys. There's a lot of times I know the information, but maybe I don't have a good explanation really nailed out that I think will really help you guys a lot. Okay, so like I was going to say before, is if you guys notice, in addition to the real estate exam study group, Arthur also started a new agent group. I would really love you guys to join that. Start learning how to before you guys pass the exams. You can start right now. We will not be talking about real estate exam related stuff on that group, but it's a great place to talk about where to choose a broker, how to market yourself, different things you could discuss as you're getting ready to become a real estate agent. Okay, Alicia, just go on the Facebook and on the Facebook. That's what like my mother says. Go on Facebook and just write real estate exam study group for the study one. And the other one is PrepAgent new real estate agent group. Okay, how many of you guys know like older people who say the Facebook or the Twitter? All right, so look for that. And other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Okay, it's always a pleasure. Have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow.